So this is a space for no bashfulness. Would you tell the people some of the shows you are responsible for?
Well, Fern was there along the whole way, so everything does go back to Fern. Well, there'll be a lot of Fern mentions, I'm sure, today. Well, just starting out, and I did start my career very early in drama series development at CBS Entertainment, and pretty soon after arriving came the CSI franchise, the CSI.
All the CSI franchises lead back to this woman.
NCIS was kind of right along with it. And then kind of came over a decade of just a bunch of shows that just kept hitting.
Such as?
Without a Trace, Cold Case, Blue Bloods, Criminal Minds, The Good Wife, Elementary.
Look at her face. Look at her face.
Elementary, Person of Interest. Help me, Fern.
And listen, this woman has made $1 billion for
10 billion. I mean, just
for the entertainment industry. It's crazy.
A lot of any of the.
Rush Hour, and then Justin's coming. His show MacGyver, Hawaii Five. You name any drama that you guys have ever watched. This is the person who does it.
Thank you.
so if that's not impressive, I don't know what to say. And you were the head of a network.
Well, I ran drama series development
For
CBS Entertainment, and then I went to Starz.
Starz Network.
And I was president of programming for Starz. Yeah.
Okay, so I've got to pull this out of her. You see, it's not easy for her, but like I want you guys to understand how awesome she is. Now, another theme when people come up to this stage, I keep saying like I brought you here to answer one question, and I want to tell you the one question. I want to lead up to the one question I want you to answer. I was on a movie set. Actually, I'll even go a step before that. Here at our organization, representation really, really matters. I have been at too many professional conferences in the field of psychotherapy where I saw no one on the stage or in the audience that looked like me. Literally no one. And when I was like, I want to contribute some ideas, I experienced horrible, horrific racial experiences. So it became really important to Adam and I that we have an organization that takes representation very seriously. So we are very proud. If you look around this room, it's a very diverse room in all of the ways that you can measure diversity. And that was intentional. We intentionally said, let's try to make a place that is comfortable for everybody. Now, having said that, we, just because of our experiences, often focused a lot about race. But I'm also aware that gender is important too. And I'll tell you a moment when I realized just how difficult it is to be successful in the entertainment industry while being a female. Is I was on a movie set with Tiffany, and Tiffany, so at the morning of the movie set, they called all the stars into hair and makeup. And all of the other stars on this day of filming were male. So it didn't take a ton of makeup to make up the three men, but Tiffany had like layers of makeup she had to have done. And then the scene they were doing had a lot of black lights in the room, and they had to put fake tattoos all over her so the tattoos would light up in the black light. So it's taking her a really long time in hair and makeup. So I'm kind of watching this all evolve, and the three male stars, and when I say stars, I mean super big stars, they got in the van and they got taken to the place where the movie was being shot. Whenever you're on a movie set, which I didn't know, there's always two locations. There's base camp, and then there's wherever they're shooting the scene. So we're at base camp, and Tiffany's in hair and makeup. She showed up on time. She showed up exactly when they told her to be there, and she was incredibly, extraordinarily professional. The three men who got their makeup done much faster because it's easier to make them up, got taken to this place where they were shooting the scene. And then you start hearing these rumblings about Tiffany needs to hurry up.
Oh.
And then the rumblings get louder and louder and more annoyed and more annoyed and more annoyed to the point where people are like upset with Tiffany, who is just sitting in a makeup chair. And I watched this and I thought, no one is actually giving her permission in this moment to be a female. Because she is just sitting. She showed up exactly when they told her to show up, and she is sitting patiently while they're painting on her body, but no one's upset with the process, or are they upset with the makeup artist? They're upset with Tiffany. And I heard like the people who run base camp versus, there's a person who's in charge of base camp, there's a person who's in charge of where they're shooting the scene, and they're angry with Tiffany, who had done nothing wrong except to be female. She had literally done nothing wrong. When she finally had all that stuff done and she was finished, I don't think she'd be bothered by me saying this. She's now got to get in the van and be taken to where the movie's going to be shot, where the scene's going to be shot. And we're walking by her trailer, and she said, "Elliott, I have to stop for a second." And she goes into her trailer, and the door swung open. And she said, very calmly, she said, "Elliott, can you close my door?" And I said, "Yes." So I went up and I closed her door, and I heard her scream at the top of her lungs. Like just absolutely release all of this tension and angst. She just screamed at the top of her lungs. And then she came out looking like the movie star y'all saw today, like made up, perfect, everything perfect in character. She gets in the van and she goes to this scene and she crushed it, right? She crushed it. But people were annoyed with her. And I thought, the only thing she did today was be female. That was it. And it was in that moment I realized this is not an environment patient with the female experience. I remember thinking, like, everyone's really mad at her, and she did nothing wrong. She showed up when they told her to show up. She sat where she needed to be. She went to the set, and she killed it. But she's going to get a reputation of, like, she shows up late, when she did not. She 100% did not. Like, it's an unforgiving thing. I think the thing about privilege and then the absence thereof, with privilege, we give the benefit of the doubt. And when someone does not have privilege, we do not. So the question I want to ask you is, this is historically and like famously a male-dominated space. And you keep winning. How?
It's complicated. No. First and foremost, I have the great benefit of having met a very strong, powerful woman very early when I was just figuring out what I wanted to do and where was I going to fit in and what am I even good at. And her name's Nina Tassler. She was head of drama development when I worked for her at CBS, and then she became president of CBS and then chairperson of CBS. And really my mentor, my guiding light, my North Star, my guardian angel. And I worked with her for over 20 years, and 18 of which she was at the network. I stayed at the network for 20 years, almost to the day. So while, yes, a very male-dominated industry, and actually CBS still a male-dominated place in terms of the upper management, Nina ran her organization of entertainment, and she empowered really strong women. And so there was a group of women, and Fern and Angelica, who's here too, included, who were running departments. If you think about it, every single department, with the exception of a few, were women. And so we were sort of doing our thing and just happy at it. Now, I do know the rung above her was a really hard place to be. And she protected us and really championed us. And I realized when she left just how male-dominated it was. And that upset me, and I left. And then I went out into the world, and then I really realized how good I had it. You know, I
Under
really
this Nina person.
Yeah. And still to this day, you know, I see her once a month or every other month, and I bring, you know, my questions to her and ask her, and a lot of it is, you know, how to find your way, sometimes around it, sometimes how to confront it. She weathered a lot in our defense, and then it just sort of afforded us the ability to do our jobs, quite honestly. But I will say, having gone out into the world, I left CBS and I became a producer at Disney, and then I did go to Starz, and then now, just sort of, again, figuring my way around, got kicked in the teeth a couple times. And to the point that my husband said, maybe your next boss shouldn't be a middle-aged white straight man. I'm just saying, So anyway, it's not that that's the end all. Just a couple experiences where I just really kind of realized that it was like, oh, okay. Not that I haven't heard the stories, but I personally had not encountered that for 2 decades.